Okay, let's just finish up these last two examples that we didn't get to completely finish in class. So remember that we talked about how I squared is equal to -1 because I is the number, the square root of -1. This was something that was created to help us deal with imaginary numbers while we're working with real numbers. So if I is the square root of -1, that means that I squared is -1 because that's the definition of square root. The square root of A is just the number that you multiply by itself to get A. That's what square root means. So I is square root of -1, so I squared is -1. So what we're going to do in this problem here is we're just going to group our i's in groups of 2 so that we'll have I squared and we can exchange those for -1. So here you have 2 i's, so that's 2i squared minus, and then you've got 3i cubed, so you've got 2 i's right there. I'm going to call those I squared, and then you have 1 I left over, so I'm just going to put that there. Okay, and then plus 2i minus 4 minus, now you have the square root of -4. When you have the square root of a negative number, you just rewrite it with the positive number, and then you put the I on the outside. Pay close attention to the fact that I did not cancel these negative signs. That is not something you could do. The negative sign on the outside has nothing to do with the negative sign on the inside. They do not come into contact with each other at all. All right, so we can simplify this now by everywhere we see an I squared, we will put -1. Square root of 4 is 2, so 2i. So I have a positive 2i and a negative 2i. I can cancel those out. I have -2 plus 3i and then minus 4. So -2 minus 4 is -6 and then plus 3i. And you can see that I put the real number first and the imaginary number second. Okay, on this last one, we have the same situation. We have 3i cubed. I could write that, since it's I can write it as 3i squared times I. And remember, when you multiply like bases, you add the exponents. So I squared times I to the first is I to the 2 plus 1, or 3. We're just grouping the i's together in groups of 2 so that we know each group of 2 is -1 when you're multiplying I times I. So here we've got 2, and we can go ahead and put -1 where we see that I squared. I squared is -1. And then we've got 7i and 4. And over here we have 2i to the 5th. So that's I times I, 5 times. All right, so every 2 of those is going to give us a -1. So we're going to rewrite that as 2i squared times I squared, and then there's one more I left over. So I'm going to change all these I squareds into -1s. So 2 times -1 times -1 times I. So we've got -3i minus 2 plus 7i plus 4 plus 2i. And so if I add up all my real numbers, -2 plus 4, that's 2. And if I add up my imaginary numbers, I've got -3i, 7, and 2. That's 9 minus 3 is 6. So plus 6i.